Entrepreneurship lies at the heart of the American ideal. The notion that anyone with a great idea and work ethic can grow a business is as American as apple pie. And our economy reflects it. Small businesses account for 44% of our GDP and employ nearly half of the American workforce. But like so many aspects of society, the business landscape is riddled with racial inequities borne out by the data. Today, less than 10% of small businesses are Black-owned, and researchers at the University of California found that the number of Black business owners fell by a whopping 41% in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. Black-owned businesses served as the logistical and financial backbone of the first civil rights movement in the 1950s and 60s. As we enter the second month of protests in the latest movement for racial equity, we're shining a light on some incredible entrepreneurs.
And I was able to get a book on coding and start teaching myself how to code.
Taking a closer look at the system that support them.
The American financial system is racist.
Learning from the next generation.
What's equity?
Equity is the difference between what your business is worth minus what you own.
And we even go swimming with the sharks.
We want to connect you with one of the sharks from Shark Tank.
Oh snap!
Oh baby, yeah! What's up?
All that coming up on More in Common. The best entrepreneurs start young, so we're kicking off today's episode with this father-son duo that went viral by bonding over business.
What's assets?
Assets are things that bring money into your bank account.
What's liabilities?
Liabilities are things that take money out your bank account.
Entrepreneurship is the act of becoming an entrepreneur. What's entrepreneurship?
Entrepreneurship is a process of setting up a business or businesses.
Taking on a greater than normal
Financial risk.
What's an entrepreneur?
Entrepreneur is a person that organizes and operates a business or businesses.
Also taking on a greater than normal
Financial risk.
What's financial mean?
Money.
And what's risk mean?
Chance.
Come on.
I love kids in general, and I just feel like the younger you teach them, the more they should know. You know, it's not enough home economic classes in school no more. It's important for kids to know the math and stuff, but the most important thing I feel like was success amongst the children is having the kids understand how to pay bills.
What's residential real estate?
Property to live on, like a house, apartment, or condominium.
Come on.
You know, I'm realistic with my son. He gets to play the game. He gets to go play Fortnite and all that stuff. He knows he has the days he doesn't want to do it. You know what I'm saying? I tell him, if you do this, you're going to get a prize. You just got to know how to tap in, man. So he knows that he needs, I broke it down, he needs to learn this.
What's equity?
Equity is the difference between what your business is worth minus what you own.
Also assets minus
Liabilities and debt.
good job.
So what one of my friends, his dad sat us down and he was like, he said, guys, he said, I know you're picking on Alex. I know you guys used to eating this and that, but this is how I keep money circulating amongst the family. The lesser I spend, the more I have for abundance. And that lesson just opened my eyes for the longest. So that was my first real official meaning to financial literacy. So once I got older, you know, I started thinking like, what did he mean? Like, how did he even get this money?
And always repay what you
owe.
Because if you owe somebody, that means you're in
Debt.
And you never want to be in
Debt.
because that means you
Owe somebody.
and we don't never owe
Somebody.
because that ain't what suckers do, period. Come on.
Yeah, man.
I'm making sure that he's something special. He can learn from my mistakes. So, you know, and that's what it's been ever since, just making sure, teaching him and myself, what do I not know so I can teach King so he can know early. And that's how I look at everything.
Salute. Boom.
Daddy, wait. I love you, my boy.
I love you, my boy. For sure, big dog. For sure, big dog. For sure, big dog. Give me a hug. Give me a hug. Give me a hug.
All banks are the same, right? Well, maybe not. We checked in with the founder of the largest Black-owned bank in the country to learn about the impact of banking Black.
This idea came about when I was probably 4 years old, and I was in a Panther meeting, and some of the brothers were saying to me, you know, Kev, we don't need, you know, we got plenty of people to go fight these battles in the streets, man. We need some cats who are gonna like own institutions. We need to control institutions. And so that's always been my passion, is to provide Black America with a financial institution that could help in the struggle for both civil rights, political rights, and social rights. Hello, my name is Kevin Cohee. I'm the chairman and CEO of One United Bank. One United Bank is the largest Black-owned financial institution in the country. The idea was to create a financial institution owned by Black people that would be able to garner the economic spending power of Blacks and then to rekindle that spending power back into the community. When you put money in the bank, what you've done is you now provided capital for the community. That money can now be used and will be used by the bank to go out and do things like make loans. It's still your money. Why not put it somewhere where it can help your community, help with your set of social beliefs? Since February, 40% of the businesses in Black America were killed by COVID. It killed 22% of businesses overall, so this thing has been a beast. But it really hit the Black community hard. It's unquestionably true that the American financial system is racist. Try to do some business with a Black-owned institution. Just being able to go into a place where they want you to be successful. You know, give us a chance. And it's so important right now that we work together to make both America and the world a better place. Black Americans have put their blood, sweat, and tears to making America great. We will never give up America because we have too much blood in the sand. For us, it goes beyond money. It goes to playing an important role in changing our society for the good.
When we come back,
Jack Daniel on a photo, and to his right is an African-American man. The headline said, Jack Daniel embraces a hidden ingredient, help from a slave.
Jack Daniels is one of the most famous American brand names in the world. What's lesser known is that Jack's teacher and first master distiller was a Black man, born into slavery, named Nathan Green, or Uncle Nearest. Author Fawn Weaver not only brought the true story of his accomplishments to light, but started her own whiskey company to honor his legacy.
I chose to build a company that I want to ensure is still growing 200 years from now. I made a commitment to Nearest's family when I began on this journey. I said, by the time I die, the name Nearest Green will be known around the world. I learned of the story. It was on the cover of the New York Times International Edition. And you see the most famous white man, I think, known around the world, Jack Daniel, on a photo, and to his right is an African-American man. And we date that photo somewhere around 1904. And the headline said, Jack Daniel embraces a hidden ingredient, help from a slave. That story just called to me. And I moved to Lynchburg, Tennessee. I only came originally for 4 days to interview one specific person and then to see what else I could find. But one person led to the next, that led to the next, that led to the next. And so I went from 4 days in Lynchburg to essentially never moving back to LA. We pulled documents and artifacts and we brought them all to the home where Jack Daniel grew up, where the distillery where Nearest Green was the head distiller, where that distillery sat. We purchased that 313 acres and all the buildings on it. And that's where I brought all the research back to. The local archivist, she calls me to her office one day and she shows me these 3 different documents. And as I read them, I looked at her, I said, what are you telling me? And she said, Jack Daniel Distillery did not start where we thought it started. It began on your property. The distillery number at that farm was distillery number 7. That meant that he was not just Jack's teacher. That meant that Nearest was Jack's first master distiller. This isn't the story you're expecting. Unfortunately, it's the only one we know of. And that is where the true disappointment comes in, because you know that there were other African Americans at the start, and they're at the beginning of so many brands. And whether or not we'll ever know, I don't know. I think people supporting Black-owned businesses and all of a sudden waking up and realizing we have some incredible things, incredible products. If you take Uncle Nearest, for instance, it's the fastest growing independent American whiskey brand in U.S. history. There are African American brands putting out really quality products, but most of the time they don't have the visibility of an Uncle Nearest. So if all of us combined goes and supports those African American businesses, imagine how they're able to rise, and we will begin to see business ownership for African Americans in line with our percentage in this country. And we're not there yet, not even close.
Our next pair of entrepreneurs are a father-daughter duo that use their own hardship as inspiration, connecting families with loved ones behind bars.
Thankful for my dad, just not giving up on our relationship. And
it's such a treat to keep chatting with you, because you've come up with this app, Photo Patch, that allows people to communicate with their families, even when they're behind bars. Can you talk about kind of the inspiration for the idea and the process you made to create this app?
So I was like, what's a problem that I know of for sure, firsthand? And it was the communication gap that we were experiencing. Lucky for me, I was in a prison that had a computer lab, and I was able to get a book on coding and start teaching myself how to code. So I built the concept while incarcerated. I built version 1, built the website out, and I came home, and JJ became my partner, and we got a couple other people to help us out. And we launched it as a 501c3, which is a nonprofit organization.
it was the idea of making things more easier. Kids definitely are having more interference with technology. So it will be way easier for them to just have something on their phone to send a picture right from their gallery and type a letter right then and there. I knew that for me, I didn't have that kind of opportunity, never that much ease for me to communicate with my father. So why not make it easier for other kids to be able to do something that I couldn't? So it makes it better for them to stay in contact and have a bond that me and my dad now have because of being able to communicate somewhat.
It was once JJ, when she was 10 years old, she got curious about me coding, and she was like, I want to learn. So I started teaching her how to code. And a couple years later, when she was at a really good point, she was like, Dad, we need a mobile app. So I was like, all right, well, I'll get to it soon. If not, you can do it. So I challenged her. She took me up on the challenge, and about 4 months later, she had the app built. And we've connected over 30,000 kids to their mom and dad in prison. We sent over 600,000 photos to prisons around the nation. And but there's still so much work to do, right? There's over 2 million kids who are impacted, and we just want to get our story out there so we can help more people use our tool.
Yeah, well, and you should be so proud. I mean, co-founders, tech entrepreneurs, and making something that so many kids and their parents need. And so I think it's just extraordinary. And talk about what it's like and the statements you've heard of people who have used it and what it's like to receive a message when you're behind bars from someone you love.
We once had was this through email or through letters? I don't know. They contacted us and told us that using our app was way easier to talk to their dad, and just wow, a 3-year-old kid were able to impact and help them stay in touch with their parent. And they're just barely even old enough to even work a phone, and they're doing all they can just so that they can be able to talk, and our app is the reason why.
People send report cards through our app. They send pictures of projects. They send activities, birthdays. So it's really cool to be able to be the vessel for communicating those experiences.
You really made the world a better place, utilizing technology to take communication really to a new level in a place that's so far behind on this. And to make it free when others are profiting is just
right. Yeah.
Thank you both so much.
Meet Maggie Anderson, an advocate who challenged herself and her entire family to shop at only Black-owned businesses for an entire year.
We voted Black, we churched Black, we loved Black, but we weren't buying Black. I'm Maggie Anderson. I am the author of Our Black Year, which is the story behind my family's famous year-long stand, completely living off Black-owned businesses. Our stand wasn't just a stand, it was actually a study. We saved every receipt, we documented our journey. We proved that if a certain segment of America were to just increase their spending with Black-owned businesses by 7%, that's nothing. We could create 1 million new American jobs. 1 million. Totally just supporting quality businesses that already exist and shifting a little bit of our money that we already spent. Black-owned businesses could protect our community from racist systems and structures and stereotypes.
Historically, Black-owned businesses have faced everything from financial discrimination to outright acts of domestic terrorism. Today, only 1% of Black-owned business owners receive a bank loan during their first year, and less than 10% of U.S. small businesses are Black-owned.
The dollar stays in the Black community for 6 hours. And no one talks about those 6 hours when we talk about Black problems. We talk about Black people killing each other. We talk about Black people dropping out of school. We talk about all these social crises we attribute to Black people. We never talk about that number. If that's the number, that's the reason we suffer the way we do. 6 hours. I don't say buy Black because I don't want you to buy from someone else. Or I don't say buy Black because, ooh, they have that, so we should have that too. I say buy Black because I want our folks to have educational attainment, productivity, and entrepreneurship and pride. Having little kids thinking they can be entrepreneurs and having them really believe, because they see it, that the American dream is accessible to them. You can't, just say you're gonna buy Black and hashtag buy Black and not actually buy Black. If we're to just do a few little things, everything would change.
After the break.
One of the things we want to do for the two of you is connect you with one of the sharks from Shark Tank.
Snap! What?
Yeah.
The renewed focus on racial inequality has encouraged a lot of people to think of ways to help the Black community. So in our next story, we're talking to a business that's feeling the love.
So we wanted to use a medium of communication that sparked presence to catalyze a conversation around something that can be very tense. We wanted to reduce those barriers using scent as a medium for highlighting the brilliance of the Black experience. Our first collection is called Diaspora, and it pays homage to 5 cities of Black greatness that Darielle and I both have connections to. Scent is the entree point, and these 5 cities are just kind of a jumping off for telling all sorts of positive stories around the beautiful Black experience that we both share and so many others like us share. For Kingston, for example, people are like, oh, does it smell like jerk chicken? We're like, no, the Kingston candle doesn't smell like jerk chicken. But, Jamaica is a very vibrant culture, and politically across time, it's been incredibly important to the Black diaspora in terms of leadership. And so the scent is grapefruit, sweet pimento leaf, and rum. So it's the fun, the feisty, the low key, but also the incredibly strong, vivaciousness that the sense of Kingston kind of invokes. So we started dating and realized that we both really liked candles and we're both kind of industrious people. And so figured, well, why don't we try to make something that we both enjoy? Dario really enjoyed kind of the process and perfecting really the science of it, and I really enjoyed the more artistic sides of creating new scents. Fast forward to being married, being parents, realizing we wanted more flexibility in our lives, and entrepreneurship is a pathway to some of that flexibility. And it actually has been doing way better than we could have ever imagined. Our business has skyrocketed, and then into the more recent social protests around systemic racism, there's been this kind of second phase outpouring of support from all sorts of people, again, looking for calm and solace in their own lives and then looking to share that with others. And the feedback is great. We had one person say, after going through your website, I realized I've never seen an example of Black love or Black families on Pinterest. So we want to literally couple this concept of Blackness with humanity and positivity and brightness.
When we come back, we're swimming with the sharks. ABC Shark Tank has been helping entrepreneurs for years fulfill their dreams. So when we found these 2 business people who are now collaborating on an incredible project, we decided to send them swimming with the sharks.
So the challenge, one, that entrepreneurs face, or those wanting to start off, especially within the Black community, is simply believing that they can start a business. Les Brown says that he combats the quote that says, I have to see it to believe it. No, first you got to believe it to see it.
Black entrepreneurs, we we don't see ownership like a lot of other ethnic or like racial groups that they see. The reason why I started Nightflower was because me personally, I was working a 9-to-5, as many of us do, and I just felt very unfulfilled. I'm like, I don't want to be doing this for the rest of my life. So yeah, I just wanted to provide a space for Black and brown women to acquire the necessary. We know that the professional space is an amalgamation of how we feel about ourselves, how we see ourselves, like the community that we're in, the networking resources that we have, the people that we know. And we can't thrive in those until we feel good about ourselves and we feel like whole.
One of the things we want to do for the two of you is connect you with one of the sharks from Shark Tank.
Oh, snap.
What?
Yeah.
Robert Herjavec is the son of an immigrant factory worker and a self-made multimillionaire. He has all kinds of ideas about how to take a small business to the next level.
You! Olivia! What's up? Tell me how this incredible business, which is a great idea, by the way.
Thank you.
I have a lot of questions. It sounds great. I have a lot of questions.
Olivia says this so eloquently. She says that we're here to take the physical to digital. We had an idea to truly create a space that was global so that entrepreneurs have true collaboration and productivity amidst a pandemic. Right? So when somebody immediately logs into virtualcoworking.community, they're immediately taken to their profile. Their profile then gives them access to all of the other members in the community. If you want to do a video conferencing, you literally tap a link and it takes it to your own branded, unique URL.
I love the promise of it. I love what you're giving me. Here's my biggest obstacle with it. I don't want to be a member of any club that'll take me. What are you giving me that another community can't? You need a fundamental differentiator to get people in. But my general advice is adapt. Adaptability is what wins the day. You know, it doesn't matter how big you are, you don't see any dinosaurs walking around the streets. You've got to be adaptable. It is the adaptable that are going to survive.
Thanks so much for watching More in Common here on ABC. I'm Michael Koenigs, and we'll see you next week.